Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of the Current Review podcast. It is now December, which means it is time for all the end of year car deals to come in. But the most interesting company doing end of year car deals is Tesla. And today we have on Dennis Wang, and he runs a YouTube channel, DennisCW, which focuses on everything finance and Tesla related. He owns a Cybertruck, which is really cool. And his YouTube channel is definitely worth a look. And there are just so many crazy specials and deals Tesla's offering now, from referrals to 0% APR, that I think we really got to talk about it and what's in store in the next few weeks. So, Dennis, thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This is a great time to buy a Tesla. I mean, 0% is ending now. They just released that. So you got to place your orders in. Referrals are, the amount is up. You can get $1,000. So it is an interesting time for sure. But thanks for having me.
Definitely. Of course. And so I think I just kind of want to start off. So, what all deals have Tesla offered so far this winter season? And what are they all looking like? Because I know 0% APR was one of them, but what else?
There is so much. And it's funny because I think Tesla learned their lesson from, because I've been talking and tracking inventory and deals for like 2 years now. They, especially last year, they would wait all the way till the end. Like, I think last year they waited all the way to like December 28th to do another deal on like Model S and Model X. And I think they've learned from that. They've learned that they need to roll out deals a month before they're actually trying to close. And so, like a week before Thanksgiving, they already had a bunch out. So 3 months full self driving, 3 months supercharging, 0% for Model 3 up to 36 months, 0% for Model Y up to 60 months, 299 lease payments on Model 3 and Model Y, military discount, referral code up to $1,000 right before Thanksgiving, which was a big brain move, I think, on their end. And I mean, there's probably more. And of course, inventory discounts. They've had that. They've always done inventory discounts. And really, that's what the fun about this is like hunting for it. But inventory discounts, $400 to $5,100 off is where I'm seeing the most on Model 3 and Model Y.
Wow. Yeah, because I was looking at the inventory discounts a little while ago, and I saw there was like not all the Model 3s, like there were a bunch of them that were just normally priced, but then I saw some all-wheel drives that were like 43, 44, and I'm like, that's getting to be a pretty good deal for that car. But it's like you said, it's like you really got to find them because they're not everywhere and they're not easily accessible, so you got to do some searching.
Exactly. Yeah. Like 2024, I mean, it makes sense, right? 2025s are here. So they're clearing out the 2024s. And it's a mix of demo vehicles, which could have miles, which could be in the showroom, versus test drive vehicles that have a discount, versus just new 2024s that have $4,000 to $5,000 discounts. So I've been telling people on the channel that the sweet spot, like especially now that some leases can be really low interest rate, the sweet spot is a 2024 Model 3 long range all wheel drive with a $4,000 discount that you can lease at a low interest rate on leasing, 1.91%. That's a sweet spot, especially now with lease buyouts. That's the last thing that they
Yes,
added on recently.
definitely. So when did they add the lease buyouts? Because that was just like a week ago, correct?
Yeah, I think it was, if I remember, before Thanksgiving. So 2 days before Thanksgiving.
They don't do advertising. There's no way for like normally other car manufacturers will have like the commercials on TV to get the message out, but Tesla, you kind of just have to be watching for it, right? And that's literally what you've been doing, and that's what your channel's been all about.
Yeah, exactly. We've created this like hyper niche of people that are, spending their 1 to 2 months searching and researching, because it's kind of like a game. They don't advertise on TV, like you said. They advertise through email, social media, or Elon tweeting something. And so you could miss things. And that, I mean, I feel like that's like a worse feeling if you're shopping for something and you buy something like, oh, shoot, I missed that deal. And that's what we try and spread as much information as possible.
Yeah, and so just to bring up this, so if we look at Tesla's inventory, I just kind of put in zip code of where I live around Charlotte, North Carolina. And as we see these deals, it's like, okay, Model 3, long range rear wheel drive, 43.4, which is right because that has upgraded wheels. But then we kind of scroll down here and you can get an all wheel drive for 43.6 for basically just a little bit more than a rear wheel drive. And so this is an all wheel drive one. So that is definitely a really steep discount on that vehicle.
Yep. Yeah. And you also see the tax credit is eligible there, 7,500. But here's a quick tip for, I mean, people that are listening. I don't know if you said it already, but scroll back up to where you can search and
Yes.
make sure the radius that you're looking at is all deliverables. Hey, perfect. You already
Yeah.
have it.
Oh yeah.
Because
I'm always on the lookout.
most people default to 200. They don't realize like all deliverable. It could be 3 hours away, but I mean, if it's a $4,000 discount, that's worth going 3 hours away.
And yeah, and I think that's the thing that just buying Teslas, you got to be kind of savvy looking at these deals because it's like there could be someone right now who goes on the configurator and is like, "Hey, I want a blue long range all wheel drive," and they'll spend 48.9 or sorry 48.5 on it plus destination plus the order fee and all that when they could have just gotten this one for significantly less. I think that's the thing because someone could be specking out like a blue one online. They're like, "Hey, I want long range all wheel drive blue," and then it's like, "Hey, if you just check, there could have actually been one in inventory for significantly less."
Yeah, and that's kind of like the mystery to it too, because I have a Patreon in which people can join and schedule a call with me, and we can talk about how to get the best deal. And I don't know how many times I've told people like they're just looking at the builder, and they're like, "No, no, no, don't go there. Go to hover over inventory, click that, and you'll see the vehicles." They're like, "Oh, whoa!" And then they're like, "Oh, wait, this was a $4,000 discount." Like, so it's like I mean, maybe it's Tesla that needs to be more communicative, or I mean, they used to have like on the website, like click for immediate delivery vehicles, and they've shifted that around or whatever. But maybe they need to bring that back.
Interesting. Yeah, so this is really cool. And I haven't really seen as many discounts on the Model Y. Have you seen a lot as well? Just if we look over to Model Y, because I've been just kind of searching, I mean, at least for the base models, we haven't seen any that have been too discounted. Have you noticed any?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Both Model 3 and Model Y, the real wheel drive, they don't discount it as much. And maybe because there's more natural demand for it because it's the cheaper vehicle. It's the one that's getting advertised at $299 a month. But it's the long range across both sides where you're going to see more discounts. But Model Y, yeah, I think the biggest discount, because I scrub through and check inventory as much as possible. And I keep a spreadsheet of like all the biggest deals that I found. And Model Y, I think the best is like $4,400 off, where Model 3 it's like
Wow,
$5,100 off.
interesting. And then when we go into Model S and X, we see pretty steep discounts.
Yeah, Model S, it gets crazy. $9,500 both sides where you see the discount. It's unfortunate the interest rate is like 5.59%, but there's a massive loophole right now with this and the Cybertruck is the lease buyout. So for
Mhm.
the typical people that can't get the tax credit that buy these vehicles, they could in theory, we haven't seen any yet. The only lease buyouts I've seen is Model 3 in which the 7,500 was itemized and removed from the buyout, but I have not seen a S, X, or Cybertruck yet. But I would imagine it's the same exact, and the 7,500 just gets passed through to the buyer.
Interesting. And kind of more moving over to the financing discounts. So right now there's 0% APR going on. Could you kind of talk us through when this is going to end and what we might expect after it does end? Because as we all know, because I think it was what, December 15th, there's still time left in the year, and Tesla obviously wants to get their quarterly numbers up. So I doubt that's the last discount.
Yeah, it's an interesting move, and I think it's a little bit of them trying to scare everybody into placing an order. And of course, you have to order by December 15th to lock it in, and then you have to take delivery by December 1st. One thing for sure, knowing Tesla, they will pin people down to December 31st, even to where if you've got a vehicle on your account that's reserved for you, they'll give you an ultimatum saying like, if you don't take delivery by this day, we're going to release it to someone else and someone else gets that discount. And so I do feel like 0% is ending December 31st. Is it going to be extended from the 15th onwards? That's the mystery. I was like taking a look at the calendar. I think the 15th is a Sunday. So I think they're going to track orders until then. And if they don't like where they're at, which there's some people like Troy Tesla, like you probably are guys are aware, he's tracking that US is down 30,000 units than where they want to be. And so if that's true, I think Tesla, like on that 16th, that Thursday after, not 16th, the 19th, the Thursday after that Sunday, they're just going to release more incentives.
And in terms of all the incentives that you've seen, because I think from what I've observed, the past year has been the most active in terms of promotions and incentives, because I think they were seeing a lot of criticism on the numbers and they were trying to use these different promotions to help with that. And I saw a lot of really interesting ones. I know my wife bought a Model Y in part because of the 5,000-mile supercharger incentive. And so they get really creative with this stuff. Which one's been the most effective that you've seen to help them with their numbers?
0% all day. I think they did 0%. Their first inkling of zero point 0.9 or 0% on the Model Y, like in June or sometime in the summer, that was, you can literally see it on the test inventory. It completely crashed right when that happened because it was unprecedented at that time. And so, on the live stream that we do every single day, I get every day it's like, when's 0% for 72, when's 0% for 72, and all these other manufacturers are doing 0% for 72, only Tesla isn't. And then they go turn around and post the other day that they're not going to do, they're ending it, which is surprising. But yeah, 100%, 0% financing is what pushes it. People don't care about full self-driving, they don't care about supercharging, and if anything, they do care about transferring free supercharging from the old to.
Yeah, I know that's a big one. I know one of my neighbors, he had a Model S with unlimited and really fought for that on his Model Y. But Tesla told him, they're like, we can either give you the discount or the free supercharging. And he managed to negotiate with them and he ended up getting both, which I thought was pretty crazy because normally you can't really negotiate with Tesla. So that's interesting, that 0%. So yeah, because I know they're doing the 3 months of free supercharging and full self driving. So you don't think that has a really that massive effect in getting someone to buy a Tesla?
No, because like if you think about it, full self driving 3 months, that's $100 a month. That's $300 of value. And most people getting into Tesla, they don't even know what autopilot is, or they think autopilot is full self driving, and they're confused. So they're not even there yet. Charging is worth it because some people are probably in that in between. They don't know or they don't have a home charger, so that's nice. But 3 months, that's not really a lot. Like in the past, they've done like 6 months, 10,000 miles, 15,000 miles, or 1 year, 2 year. And so my like Hail Mary prediction is like 6 months free supercharging, free 6 months full self driving, 0% for 72 months on Model 3 and Model Y. But really, the Model 3 doesn't need it. I think it's just the Model Y that needs it.
And so now we're discussing the Model Y, and I know the Juniper is very highly, everyone's really talking about it. But how soon do you think it's actually going to come out? And if, say, someone is, hey, I need a car pretty soon, should they wait for the Juniper to whenever it might come out, or should they just buy an inventory Model Y right now?
So my guess for Juniper is June of next year, June for Juniper. But there's people posting that, and Elon's even said, I feel like on one of the calls, that they're working on 2 to 3 vehicles, quarter 1 or quarter 2 release. But we don't know if that's going to be China release, Europe release. Model 3 Highland came out in China first. But even if it does, even if it is China release first, that's good for the USA buyers because it's going to have that Osborne effect and just further put down discounts on Model Y and Model 3. But I think June. And if you need a vehicle now, I tell people just take whatever deal is out there because it's the best it's been all year. And instead of you spending more time researching, because time is money, right? Researching, unless they love watching me, but time is money. And so just transact now, it's worth it. But if you can wait, if you don't need a vehicle, then wait till June for Juniper. But the other thing with that is I tell people like, okay, let's say Juniper comes out in June, it's not going to be a deal until September or
Yeah.
December. Unless you're okay with paying MSRP plus 5% interest rate, you're not going to see a deal on until next September or December. So it's really, the options are buy a Model Y now with good discounts, good interest rates, or buy a Juniper next December with good deals and interest rates if it's flopping, which it kind of feels like the Juniper is really coveted and everybody wants that.
Yeah, well, and that's the interesting thing. Okay. Yeah, because the one thing that I thought was really interesting, and we can actually queue up the inventory tracking chart. So the new Model 3 refresh seems to be pretty low inventory, and it seems to be doing, at least I read the sales numbers from last quarter, and I think Tesla sold about 58,000 Model 3 refreshes compared to 2,000 Hyundai Ioniq 6s. So just giving that comparison. So 2,000 Hyundai Ioniq 6s, 58,000 Tesla Model 3 refreshes. So Model 3 refresh seems to be doing really well for a sedan, but I could definitely see the Model Y refresh doing, like, if the Model 3 refresh is having this low of inventory right now, we can only expect a Model Y refresh would probably be doing even better than the Model 3.
But yeah, definitely. And then like there was like another post the other day. I mean, of course, we'll take it with a grain of salt, but it had like the Juniper was leaked and it had like 95 kilowatts on the screen. I was like, if that battery is 95 kilowatts, this is going to be crazy because maybe they're trying to go with a bigger vehicle, take away from Model X sales because Model X and Model S is dead essentially. And there's
Mhm.
just more people in a Juniper, and there's everybody that's in a 3 now is going to step up, and everybody that's in a Y is going to upgrade. Well, not everybody, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
So So, you know, the Model 3 Highland refresh sort of happened earlier, right? And there was like a bit of a get rid of the old Model 3s and see all people rush to the new. So I think it's a bit of preview for Model Y. Model Y tends to actually be a more popular vehicle, right? Were there any incentives to get people who were existing Model Y to upgrade into Juniper? No?
No, yeah, Tesla is there was like I think there is a couple loyalty incentives, but it's mostly based around leasing. So
Okay.
if someone is coming near the end of the lease, they'll waive like 2 months of payments, give you like a little bit of credit for wear and tear. Of course, waive the disposition fee. It's like 350, and then you get into a new one. But besides like other loyalty, there was like a loyalty department, but I can't remember if they what they did. If it, I can't remember because it probably wasn't like big enough for old 3 and new 3.
Interesting, because that's kind of crazy. Because some automakers, like GM at least, for if you're buying like an Equinox EV, you get 2,500 off if you've previously owned like a Chevy Bolt or something like that. And Tesla really doesn't seem to do much on the loyalty front. Do you expect that could change in the future?
I don't know. I don't see any preview of it. I don't see any like anything about it. I mean, maybe they it makes sense because they have so many people that currently have Teslas, and I feel like all these other manufacturers out there like Chevy, Honda, the Chevy Blazer now, they're just taking away from Tesla's pie, their Tesla's ownership because Tesla created the market and now all these other
Yeah.
manufacturers are taking from it. And so Tesla's probably going to realize that like, hey, we want these people back. Let's see what we can do. So I could see that for sure.
Interesting. And one other thing I kind of noticed, this is more of an aside, but I just kind of track because I currently drive a 2021 Model 3, and I just kind of track the trade-in values on Tesla's website. And what I seem to notice is that when all these deals start coming out, my trade-in value just kind of drops, even though my mileage was like relatively constant. So like my Model 3, I was previously offered like 20,100 just like a month ago. And now with all these discounts, I was like, let's just see. And now it's on to 18. And I'm like, interesting, because it's 40,000 mile Model 3 all wheel drive. So it's not like, you know, and yeah, so I was just kind of noticing that some of these trade-in values now, because they're like really trying to get people to buy them, but it's like these trade-in values are so low. It's like they're far less than what like other manufacturers, like other car dealerships you can get from. So I thought that was really interesting. I wonder if there is like a correlation between trade-in and incentives.
But yeah, 100%. Because like if you do the math, like a new at one point in this past month, a new Model 3 rear wheel drive with the tax credit, with the referral code and inventory discounts, it was like hovering like around 30 to 31 brand new before taxes and fees. And so when you get that low on the new side, people start to figure like, oh wait, why am I buying a used one for 20 when a new one is 30 or vice versa? But on the used side, there's other things that play into it because there's that $4,000 EV tax credit. Purchase price has to be under 25. So there's like this floor for used Teslas that it's always going to stay in that like 10 to 15K range because there's just a bigger market at that range.
And do you track the used market as well, or just a new one? Because Tesla does have some interesting deals I see pop up every now and then on the used inventory side.
I do. I track it, but not so much. I like looking at Hertz vehicles because they just blow them out, and it's fun to watch that. And I like seeing like okay, if like right now there's like a Model 3 on for sale in the LA area. It's like $10,000 after the tax credit because those dealers like to play the game of pricing it after the $4,000 tax credit.
Yes.
But it's like $10,000, 240,000 miles, and I want to go check it out, but I don't want to like waste their time, but I still want to see like what's the condition like on this thing.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Yeah.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's interesting. So much is being played with games on tax credits and stuff, and I'm curious if like how much you think. I mean, there's been a lot of things that I've seen out there. Like there was a study I think that said the tax credit without the tax credit it would be 27% less in sales. You know, I don't know how much that would happen with Tesla and with Elon sort of being involved with the new administration. I mean, what are your guesses in terms of Tesla's overall gameplay or strategy here moving into 2025, and what the tax credit is going to do with that?
So I think in 2025, I mean, Trump's transition team wants to kill it, right? The 7,500. And I think Elon is playing a little bit of a big brain strategy because I think he's come out and said like he just wants to remove all of them. But it also has probably come out that his cost of goods can handle not having that 7,500, but all these other manufacturers need it. Right. They're already investing tons of money into factories. They need that 7,500 to be profitable. And so I think that's his strategy there without kind of just without calling him out exactly. But I think he'll be fine. Like the prices, and that's why I tell people too. Like people are worried about the 7,500 going away, but knowing Tesla, they still want to sell hundreds of thousands of units. They're just going to drop the price 7,500 if they don't have it because they've done that. I mean, I remember the time in early 2023, I want to say in January when the Model Y went from $66,000 down to like $53,000 just like that, and everybody freaked out. And so if they've got that type of elasticity and they're willing to do it, then they'll do anything to sell cars.
That was insane. I remember when that happened, I knew people who bought the Model Y because what was interesting is in the December of 2022, Tesla was throwing out all these discounts. They're like, if you take delivery now, we'll give you 7,500 off, like all this stuff. We'll match a tax credit. So people were like, hey, we'll just buy in December. We'll get 7,500 off the purchase price of the car because it didn't qualify for the tax credit at that point because the Inflation Reduction Act wasn't totally in place. And so people were like, hey, I got my 66 whatever $1,000 car for like 59. And then if you just look forward like a month, then Tesla slashed the price massively and you got the tax credit. So those people got really screwed. They got screwed twice, and that was definitely insane.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for sure. And we even on our channel we started a petition with change.org, and I think we got up to like 10,000 signatures, like because like I felt bad for everybody that bought a vehicle. I mean, even I bought a used Model X during that time and I still feel the burn from that. But I was like, hey, like Tesla should take this opportunity because there's a lot of angry people and just like give full self-driving or something because it's a software cost, and then that would just further like show that they care, but they just unfortunately didn't do anything.
Dang. And now going into the Cybertruck, because this is interesting. So Tesla's offering some new deals on the Cybertruck too. Could you walk me kind of through what some of Tesla's incentives and offers are on that?
Yeah, so I think Cybertruck lease payments, that's where it gets super tricky with the Cybertruck because they added lease buyout to that, and payments start as low as they just dropped it $100. I think $899 for the all-wheel drive and $999 for the Beast. But they added the lease buyout. So the workaround here is that if because you cannot get the 7,500 federal tax credit if you're buying it or financing or cash, you can only get it on a lease. So when you're leasing, that 7,500 is itemized. They label it as like lease incentive. They don't label it as tax credit for some reason, but they label it as lease incentive. And so in theory, because we've seen some buyouts on Model 3s already, at least like the itemization, and the 7,500 is passed through, so it's a lower buyout price. But in theory, if the buyout works the same on a Cybertruck, someone who or anyone can get the 7,500 on a lease and they could buy it out the next week with that 7,500 discounted. Now, of course, there's an acquisition fee on that. I think it's like 650 or 700. So you
Yep,
do pay a little
700.
on that. And then there's a carrying cost as well. So it was 13% on the lease. I think it's now down to 11 or 10%. So the longer you take to buy it out, that interest rate is hitting that payment, whatever. So you want to do it sooner than later. And so you got to have your ducks in the row with like a credit union or financing, outside financing ready to go because Tesla won't finance you the buyout.
And now kind of going into the Cybertruck a little bit more. So it's still pretty expensive truck. It's around 81,000 with destination fees and everything. What do you expect is going to happen with Cybertruck sales going forward? And do you think we'll see more discounts and possibly a lower starting price?
I think they're going to try and get to that 60K threshold sooner. I was like a few months ago I was predicting like, oh, that's going to be 2026 for that 60K base Cybertruck, but I think it actually is going to happen next year or maybe later in the year because I mean, trucks, I mean, they are selling right because the numbers show that they are, but I'm just
Yes.
not getting the feeling that they are at this point.
Mhm.
mean, there are people still sending me messages saying that they're actually buying, but I guess we'll wait to see what the numbers actually show after the end of this quarter to see if there actually is a problem. Because you guys probably saw that same article where they told the line workers to stop working for 3 days. And it's like, is that because of upgrades or is it because there's a demand issue? So what's going on here? But I mean, them dropping the lease payment already down $100, that is a signal that there could be a demand problem.
Definitely. And I think there's one really interesting figure I wanted to pull up, but for some reason the link wasn't working. But it is the EV sales from quarter three, 2024. And the Cybertruck is the best selling electric pickup truck on the market, which I think is pretty interesting, just considering its super high price. Because if we look at F 150 Lightning, we have 7,100 sales in quarter three. If we look at the Silverado EV, around 2,000 vehicles. But then if we go down to the Tesla Cybertruck, 16,700 sales. That's pretty insane how well that truck's doing, just given its high price and still kind of controversial. People love it or hate it, and I still think that's incredibly impressive. Is there anything you have to say regarding the sales?
No, I mean, I definitely agree. That's super impressive. I think we have to wait and see how this quarter goes because all those other manufacturers, especially the Ford F-150 Lightning, they completely dropped their lease payment. Like I saw a payment the other day, $180 a month for a Lightning, and their national
Okay.
offer is like 300. So we will really see if Cybertruck can hold its weight for the end of this quarter, or has that initial buzz of having the latest and greatest technology worn off, and they actually have to figure out how to prove value to people.
Definitely. And I think that's really interesting too, because at least when we see with the Cybertruck is how much are, because obviously just came out like late last year, so still very popular. So is that demand going to sustain? But the other thing too is like the Cybertruck right now is basically fighting with the high level Rivians, at least in terms of what it is, and the high level Ford F 150 Lightnings and Silverados. And but like the Ford F 150 Lightning has a base price of around 60. So you'd still obviously less range, etc. But at least they still do have that more entry level option that the Cybertruck just doesn't have. But it will be interesting to see if that changes and if Tesla might even bring out a rear wheel drive, like they said.
Yeah, I definitely think rear wheel drive, and I think they have room, hopefully, to go down on the lease payment. So maybe we see 799, 899, because the interest rate on the lease is it's like 11%, which is really high compared to all the other models that they have out there, like Model 3, Model Y. It's hard to compare that, but those are in like the 4 to 5% for money factor leases.
It's interesting. I think we've mentioned this on this show before, but it's technically a truck and it's competing in theory with the Ford F-150. But I never actually thought that the people that are buying the Cybertruck are in the market for trucks in general, right? They're kind of in a different class of their own. And so, I mean, it could really just open up the market, right? And it could be like if you're looking to see like their piece of the pie of the truck market, it's the wrong way to look at it. Probably it's probably just people who are in like the higher end, like maybe it's really competing with the Land Rovers, you know what I mean? And that sort of or high end Mercedes, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I Cybertruck was my first truck. Never have owned a truck before, and that's a common theme. I feel like when I talk to Cybertruck owners, some of them have never owned a truck, and this is their first one. I don't call the Cybertruck a truck. It looks like a truck, it acts like a truck, but it's like when you actually jump in a Ford F-150 Lightning and the other competitors out there, like those are real trucks. Like they know and understand the truck buyer. They know what they need, and the Cybertruck is like a sports coupe type of cool truck that has a bed, but there's like there's like a lot of different things that truck owners need that it just doesn't. It's not there yet, and we'll probably see it on the next rendition and all that stuff. But it's like a sports coupe truck. That's what I say.
Yeah, that's a good way to position it because I think just when you go in the configurators too, like obviously Cybertruck is just everything's already selected for you. But then when you go in like the Ford F-150 configurator, F-150 Lightning, it's like what type of bed liner do you want? Like, do you want your tool chest in the back? Like it's like you're specking out like a gas powered truck that just happens to be electric. Whereas Cybertruck is just definitely kind of in a realm of something else.
Yeah, and so I think like you put it pretty well, David. Like it's just going to create a new market of like Cybertruck's creating a new market of truck owners, not necessarily converting the other trucks just like, well, I guess like the EV trucks, like Ford F-150 Lightning and Silverado, like those are real truck owners trying electric, whereas Cybertruck is just people trying a Cybertruck.
And it's a really great, capable vehicle. I've driven one around. I own a Rivian, and I have to say, you can feel the Rivian's long wheelbase. On a Cybertruck, you can't. It drives like a car, and that's one of the most amazing things I think about that vehicle. It doesn't feel like a truck when you're driving it, you know, but it can do a lot of truck things, which is nice.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you drive a Cybertruck?" And they're like, and then they're saying, "Oh, isn't it really big?" And it's like, it looks big, but it drives really nicely. And so all the people that hate on Cybertruck, you should just go drive one and then let us know if you still hate it, or like at least be appreciative of the technology that's in it.
Definitely. Yeah, because everyone's like very strong opinions on the truck, and I just recently drove one. And it's like the steer by wire is just so cool. It's like there's no vehicle that's like it before, and that's what I kind of like about it. It's just something new, different, and yeah, it's weird, but it's like who doesn't like weird cars? It's like weird cars are cool. It's like you don't
It
want
is
everyone
interesting.
driving around in like a Nissan Rogue.
And it's interesting because like steer by wire is not a new thing, because I was talking to my wife about like what car to get next, and she was like, "Well, what cars have that steer by wire technology?" And so I googled it. And it's like, okay, Lamborghini has it. I think like Lexus TX has it. There was another vehicle, oh, Mercedes EQS or one of those vehicles has it too. So it's like, oh, I had no idea the vehicles actually have it. It's like, well, why don't I go try some of those? Because now that I've experienced steer by wire, I don't want any other car that, especially a big car, without steer by wire.
Definitely. So yeah, I think we definitely covered a lot of topics, especially on the Cybertruck. I think that's really interesting. So who knows? Maybe in the future there might be some more discounts. I would assume so. But kind of just looking out for the next 2 months before we wrap this up, just with these discounts, do you expect any more discounts to arrive within the next period? And for someone looking at buying a new Tesla right now, what would you let them know?
Yeah, I would say if you like the deal right now, if you want 0% your financing, and if you can find a Model 3, Model Y, four to $5,000 off, just place an order. Make sure to use a referral code, just like the one down below in the description, and get that extra $1 to $2,000 off. I've also been telling people like, hey, if you find that vehicle, it's a 250 deposit. Yes, that could be a lot of money, but maybe at least hold it. And then if Tesla does something in the next week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, then maybe you'll still have that order and you'll be able to place that and take delivery. But I would say lock it down at this point, and Tesla could go crazy and just put bigger discounts on everything for that last couple weeks of December, which we've seen them do in the past. But maybe they won't, and maybe they're okay with not selling as many vehicles that they need to in quarter 4. The one thing is for sure, though, I mean, every month for the past 2 years, the deals have just gotten better and better and better. So if December is not the right time for you, well, there's next quarter, next March, next June, next September, next December. At the end of every single quarter, there's always deals. So we'll be here talking about it. I'm sure you guys will be as well. And so patience is good too.
Yep. Thank you very much. And for anyone interested in checking out your YouTube channel, it is DennisCW. I have it screen shared up here. Um, and yeah, thank you very much for sharing all your Tesla finance expertise. I think this probably served as a good conversation for someone interested in buying a Tesla in the near future.
Sweet. Thanks so much. And then just pop over to live too. That's where we live stream every single day and talk about all the deals that are out there. And so there's always a topic to talk about. And that's really where all the activity is.
Juniper Lake, might have to check that one out.
Yeah. Sweet. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks again, Dennis.
Thanks.
Thank you.